Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 65 of Pocket Edition. I'm your host, Sully, and today I'm joined by Count Fracula. Before we dive any further, though, I just want to apologise for my absence. I have been sick twice in the last month, so that was fun. I lost my voice, and poor old Mark's awaiting some nasal surgery, or his brain surgery is like
his brain surgery.
His brain surgery. So I will definitely be back now that I'm back up to snuff health-wise. I believe Count is also back. He's been busy, but he's dropped a new news format out into the wild, which sounds really cool. But before we jump into the episode, Count, do you want to maybe quickly share your thoughts a little bit more in depth on what we want to do with that news format? Because it sounds really cool and I'm keen.
Sure. So, the news video that I put out yesterday, as we were recording this, was a bit of a test of the format. So it's going to be a weekly show now. It's going to come out at the end of a week on a Sunday, because even if I am working on a Sunday, I don't work as long, so it's easier for me to do. And the way it's going to work is there's going to be a lot more short-form stories fit into one package. So a standard news video for me before was about, 7 to 10 minutes. I'd talk about 2 topics, maybe 3, and sort of ramble on a bit. This time, though, I'm going to keep each topic to between 1 and 2 minutes-ish. Obviously, there's a bit of leeway there. And get sort of, 4 or 5, maybe 6 topics into a video. And it was just me doing it this week. But the plan is to get other people to record little pieces. So I've asked Orange Lightning, Sarah, about this. And she's going to be hopefully doing something, if not next week, the week after. Her job has made it very difficult for her to be able to record anything at the moment because they're piling work on her after she handed her notice in, which is nice of them. But she's leaving there next week, so hopefully in the next week or 2 she'll be able to have time to record something for us. And then you also, Sully, have expressed interest in doing some little pieces for me.
I really like this because there's been so many times where I've had topics or things I want to discuss in my head, but obviously due to time constraints you can't do 4 pocket editions every single week. And as the audience knows, just 1 a week can be challenging at times, depending on what's going on. I think it's cool though, because I think it presents an opportunity for everybody to bring their own flavour to the news. Obviously, you know I'm a bit of an Xbox kind of orientated, watch Microsoft type guy. So it opens up an opportunity for me to kind of bring that different flavour. And, Sarah might bring something Nintendo related because that's kind of where her passion is. So I think it's really cool. I'm just varying it up a little bit.
I think so. I think it's going to be a nice, interesting change on the format. It's been 2 years and we've been using the same format for that amount of time, so I think a change is overdue. So I think it's nice. I think it's come out well. It's had good reception so far, and hopefully that will continue.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. Bit of a, I guess you'd say it's almost like a rapid fire news, which is cool. I dig it.
Yes.
But let's move into episode 65, and today we're here to talk about Bethesda. I think we're at a point in time now where Bethesda as a brand name has become a little bit murky, especially in, I'm going to say just in the last probably year, roughly.
I'd say more like 18 months. But
18 months, yeah. I think everything after Fallout 76 has not been great for them. So I think we're here today just to kind of discuss, I guess, where they're at the moment and hopefully where they're not going in the near future. But do you want to take us away, Count?
Yeah, sure. So, Bethesda's is big. They're a big company nowadays. We all know who they are.
Todd Howard.
They had a lot of public goodwill coming into sort of 2015, 2016. They had a lot of goodwill. They were known for making quite, big epic story intensive games, big open world games, all that kind of stuff. And for me, I think they sort of started going downhill after the release of Fallout 4. Fallout 4, and I think when did Doom come out? 2016. So, I mean, even before Doom came out, the way they PR'd Doom was terrible. I mean, Doom 2016 was a great game, but the way they tried to sell it to us was just awful.
That's when they recently announced their plans to not release press copies for review before release dates, which was coming at a weird time when Doom was literally about to enter the market. So that was strange.
Yeah.
And it didn't. We all thought that was doom and gloom for Doom.
Yeah, it turned out to be a great game, and we all just looked at them going, well, why have you done that? That doesn't really make any sense. So, very strange. Then they released Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2, I think they did it again with the whole thing about, review copies, but Dishonored 2 was still a pretty good game by all accounts. Don't know if people thought it was quite as good as the first, but a lot of people thought it was very good indeed. And then it just sort of started going off a cliff, really. I mean, they've had a couple of shining moments in the last year or two since then. They've had Prey. Prey came out. That's received very good reviews. I know Max in particular loves that game.
It's a good game.
Yeah. But then they've also released things like The Elder Scrolls Blades, which is a free-to-play mobile game in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Nobody cares.
With all the horrible free-to-play elements that you would expect from a horrible free-to-play game. And, there's Fallout Shelter, which is not quite as bad, but still pretty bad.
I played a lot of that on Switch. Like many of those games, you eventually hit an invisible paywall, and you waste an hour trying to get past it before you realise it's an invisible paywall.
Yeah, pretty much. They go, hey, you're not going to get past this unless you pay for our things. So, yeah. It was a sort of... It was initially a slow sort of downfall, but then they released Fallout 76. And, since Fallout 76 came out, it's just been all downhill. Even before Fallout 76 came out, because they were handling it poorly anyway. Even when they announced Fallout 76 going, hey, this is going to be an online game, it's going to be different to every other Fallout game, and it's like, the things they were advertising as selling points are things that people who go and play a Fallout game don't really want in a Fallout game. Like, no human NPCs, or all that kind of stuff, or no overarching story, really. It's the stories you make on your own. That's not what I'm in this Fallout game for. I mean, and this isn't necessarily Bethesda specific. I mean, we recently saw Activision Blizzard do it with that damn mobile release or announcement of Diablo. Nobody cares. Yeah, Diablo Immortal.
Yeah, believe that was it. But no, it's very similar, It's just like Fallout, the hardcore Fallout fan base probably aren't looking for a online shooter. They enjoy the solitary, single-player nature of those games. I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't necessarily be coerced into buying it. Obviously, I think it's sold okay-ish. Or probably nothing near what Fallout 4 did, or any Elder Scrolls game has done. But again, alienating your audience, never wise.
No, but I think they're only just sort of trying to get back on their feet with Fallout 4, because Fallout 76 rather, because they announced that NPCs are going to be patched in. They're going to add them back in. It's like, okay, is this not a thing that you thought should have been done in the first place? And you've now gone, we didn't realise that people bought this Fallout game expecting a Fallout game.
I mean, we haven't even spoken about the issue with Fallout 76 yet, and that is the fact that it was a broken piece of shit.
There's that, but
you've got one issue being, you could argue that their core audience probably wasn't looking for what they brought forth. Fine, whatever. They wanted to try something new. Cool, I can respect that, even if it kind of flies a little bit in the face of what is traditionally a Fallout game. But they didn't even come close to nailing down the basics of a stable game for release. It was a broken piece of shit. And even when working, when they finally got it up to snuff, it was really kind of lackluster too. So it really did feel like a turd that they just tried to polish up and plop out and have a bit of a quick cash grab.
Then you can also point to the farce of the canvas bag scandal.
Yeah.
The utter farce that has only just been resolved.
How did that actually resolve?
They've made canvas bags and have been sending them out to people after nearly a year.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they've actually started making them finally. This is after, if you don't know, they were people who bought a special edition, the Power Armor edition, I think it was, were promised a canvas duffel bag to store their big power armor helmet that they got with that edition, and they'd been given a nylon bag instead, made of considerably cheaper material. And they first started. They first tried to placate people by offering them in-game currency equivalent to $5, which is not great, I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They apparently also changed the description of the bag from canvas to nylon following customer complaints. So they just tried to sneakily change the description so that no one else would complain, even though the promotional image still referred to it as a canvas bag.
Oh dear.
Not only that, influencers had actually been given canvas bags. Like special, online influencers had been given canvas bags. And then in December, they had an error with their customer support website and leaked a load of customer information. It was freely available, exposing tickets and details of customers, because a lot of these tickets had their personal information in them. So that's
incredible.
Not good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Let's move on past Fallout 76 though.
Yes, let's, because that's just a whole episode on its own.
Oh yeah, that's a huge saga. Jim Sterling has covered that extensively. If you wish to get up to snuff on that. But Kat, I think most recently, before I want to ask a couple of questions regarding Bethesda. Most recently, we have Young Blood, which is the new Wolfenstein game, which has been having not only does it have microtransactions, but is apparently having microtransaction issues.
Yes, sort of. It's a bit weird. There's been discrepancies in items offered across different platforms, particularly. And different currencies have been used to purchase those items. So there's 3 different types of currency, I believe, in this game, because it's basically a freemium game. There's silver coins, gold bars, and ability points. And I believe that in some places on different versions of the game, it's you be able to buy the thing with gold bars on one system and only silver coins on the other system. The issue with that being the only thing you can buy with real money is gold bars. So a lot of people are getting confused and saying, well, no, there's no microtransactions here, or there's no need to buy the microtransactions because everything you buy is done with the gold bar, the silver coins. And it's no. And then other people were posting their evidence saying that it was the gold bars that you used to buy these things. And it's been very confusing. Oh, dear.
But
however, it has been rectified now,
okay,
at least.
Thank God. And what the fuck are these gold bars used for in a first-person shooter single-player game?
Cosmetics!
Okay, so, of course,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't even touch that. It's microtransactions. We all know what that's about.
Yeah. So apparently, yeah, you used to be able to buy boosters. I don't know what boosters are in this game necessarily, but that has been removed entirely. So Polygon checked the PC and PS4 versions of the game. The extra booster options have been removed, along with paying for boosters with gold bars. So you can't now buy these boosters, which give you an advantage in combat. So now it's only cosmetics.
Excellent.
Well, mostly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this game's been receiving mixed reviews regardless, so...
Yes, although Gaming Pastime, who posted their review on our channel, apparently liked it quite a lot.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I have to check it out.
People have been giving them shit about it, apparently, for liking it.
Oh, that's shit in itself. Who cares?
I know. They're entitled to their own opinion. Because it's got microtransactions and whatever in it, I don't want to buy it. And I've heard it's turned into an open world hub game, which I don't want to buy.
Ooh,
but they're still allowed to like it. Yeah, I know, I don't really understand that. But they're still allowed to like it,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna moan at them for liking something that I don't want.
Well, I mean,
not how it works.
They play so much shit. I mean, shit in a good way. Like, they play so many games. Like, I imagine they are quite. They thrive on variety of game. So, I'm not surprised they're enjoying a different Wolfenstein experience.
Nah. Yeah, I completely agree.
But anywho, it's a little bit off subject.
But yeah, so that's kind of why that's the most recent thing that's been eroding away at Bethesda's goodwill. I will also point out that Rage 2 had microtransactions in it, even though it is a single player game. There is literally no co-op element at all, but it still had microtransactions in it.
Yeah, and that game was a fart into the wind as well.
Yeah, it's a shame because it looked really good with the promo material. I was looking forward to it, and it was just like, I
was always a little bit. I'm sure I was probably pretty vocal about it. You can check me. I'm probably said it a few times on the channel.
I remember you saying you were quite skeptical about it.
It felt a little bit try hard to me. Like, it felt like it was ripping a few things from here and there, and I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I guess that's how the game was kind of received. Like, nothing particularly wrong with it. It's fine. But anywho, I mean, that's fine. That's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It's not Bethesda's fault, But now that we've kind of covered our little snapshots of, I guess, Bethesda's last 18 months, what the fuck do you think is happening at Bethesda? Why have they all of a sudden seem to have just slipped on a banana peel and just are flubbing left, right, and center? Has management changed? Have they changed their goals? What do you think has happened?
See, if anything about that is public, if anything about it is changes of staff or anything, it's not well known. Like, there's not been any big public restructuring of Bethesda.
Is that a string of bad luck then?
Well, a string of mismanagement more than bad luck. I think a lot of this is, it's down to human, either singular or multiple error. So I don't think that you could necessarily blame this on just being bad luck. I think it's just not. Yeah.
Do you know what I think it might be? I feel like Bethesda went from a studio that would publish their own games in Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and they did that for many years on end. And then they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they acquired some studios somewhere along the way, and they started turning out games like from id. They acquired id. I can't remember the year that they acquired them. Started producing Doom.
I think it was about 2010, 2009, something like that.
Yeah, and they
before Rage came out, anyway.
Yeah, and they acquired some other studios, and I feel like they're dabbling in a lot recently in the last few years, especially in smaller experiences or off-the-cuff experiences. Off the cuff, I'll say like Fallout 76. They've just kind of taken a chance and gone, there you go, have it. Fallout Shelter. They seem to be doing a lot more than what they used to, say, 10 years ago. So are they just kind of spreading out in too many different directions? And that's why we're seeing these flubs? Like, the shit's just not sticking to the walls?
Maybe. I mean, there's a marked increase in their output in the last 5 or so years. I'm looking at their thing on Wikipedia, and it's a list of games published, and there's a lot of things on here that I wasn't expecting. Like, they published Brink. Do you remember Brink? It was that weird TF2 knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like there's a game called Wet as well, which is like wet as in wet work. Hunted the Demon's Forge as well, so it's definitely all over the fucking place. The stuff that they even made some Pirates of the Caribbean games, apparently.
Jeez.
I don't fucking know that. But yeah, I mean, it's their output's definitely increased in the last few years. I don't know if that's necessarily for the better. It does seem to be a bit more scattershot approach.
Well, seemingly not.
And that's probably what's not helping.
I mean, I feel like we're seeing them slip up more just because they're in the spotlight more. I mean, they've never been a perfect studio. I mean, there was heaps of issues with Skyrim when it released. There was heaps of issues with Fallout when it released. But, you know, now we have these same kind of games with issues just more frequently, and their responses to these issues aren't great.
Nah, but then at the same time, Bethesda's responses have never been great because they never really fixed, like, particularly Skyrim, never been really fixed as such.
Well, do you remember that save bug that Skyrim had for PlayStation 3 owners? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a game-breaking bug in the Switch version that they're still not patched out.
Yeah, it's just bad. So, I mean, I don't know what's happening internally or what they can do to fix it, but I feel like some of it's very easy to fix. Like,
I think they're just
don't be
probably
fuckheads.
because they're
like the canvas bags, man.
Yeah, I know, that's just ridiculous. But a lot of the things like the buggy games, it was always a bit of a meme with Bethesda that they launched buggy games, but even behind the bugs, they were still relatively competent and well made. You know, underneath all of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can excuse it because
I feel like, because the game was still good, whereas I feel like that in the last couple of years has sort of dropped off a little bit.
So this leads me to, I guess, the final point of this episode that we discussed briefly in Discord the other day. You can find a link to that down below in the description box if you're interested. But we're talking about the upcoming games that they are handling. Whether it be directly or indirectly. We both have Doom Eternal is on the horizon, and then of course Elder Scrolls the next chapter is not that far off, which they are producing themselves, correct? That's the Bethesda one, Fallout and Elder Scrolls, correct? They developed that themselves, Bethesda?
Yes.
And obviously it does Doom, but how much are you concerned about those two titles? Do you think Doom could be influenced too heavily by microtransactions, much like Wolfenstein Youngblood?
Well, I mean, Wolfenstein Youngblood was made by id as well, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
I think it's not made in-house by Bethesda.
I don't think so. It might be another studio that does that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Developed by Machine Games and Arcane Studios, that was it, and then published by Bethesda. So it's not a problem that's endemic to in-house Bethesda games. It's a problem across the company. So it's probably it's things that are orders that are coming from on high, basically, coming down to all the other companies going, you need to do this. And it does make me worried, particularly for Doom Eternal, because Doom Eternal, is primarily going to be a single-player experience. Sure, it'll have multiplayer, like the Doom 2016 did, but it does make me worried for what they're going to try and do to it. If that is, they had microtransactions in Rage 2, which is a single-player game entirely, and I don't want to see Doom reduced to that, like particularly Doom, because Doom 2016 was such a great game, and they need to follow that up with something that's just as great.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I have faith in them to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at its core it will be great, but it could be the dampness could come down a little bit if they start throwing microtransactions around. But Elder Scrolls, does that all of a sudden become some kind of online fucking questing game?
I mean,
Like
the Elder
Fallout
Scrolls
76?
Online exists already for that. So
I know, but we got to have some kind of weird in-between game where there's like a hub world or something. Like, what are they going to do, you know? Are they going to find a way to somehow monetize it? Because they created a whole game in Fallout to do that in 76, so I don't know.
Yeah, it does make you worry. I mean, you got to think this is the company who made paid mods and decided that they weren't paid mods even though they were paid mods. So every little thing that they do wrong throws into sharp relief the things that they've done right, and you have to go, please don't fuck these things up. So I'd say I'm arguably less worried about the Elder Scrolls 6, but that's purely because we know so little about it and it's so far away that you'd hope that they'd learn any lessons that they have to learn from this horrible PR they have at the moment.
Like
by that point,
get it out of their system now before it influences Elder Scrolls.
Hopefully, but you know, I mean, you look at other companies like Activision. The bigger they got, the worse they got.
Oh well, they just don't give a shit.
No, exactly. But you know what I mean. I think it's one of those where I'm not worried about the Elder Scrolls yet, but in the back of my mind, there's a bit of a niggle going. But what if they do?
Oh man, could you imagine? A dud Elder Scrolls?
I can imagine the backlash if this goes wrong.
Jeez, that would have to be one of the big industry misfires if that's a flop. For whatever reason. I can't think of anything.
Because, Skyrim is one of the biggest selling games of all time. You know?
And every one before that has been awesome in its own right. Like, it's one of the crowning jewels in terms of a series for, like, video games. It's, I can't think of anything. Like, the only other thing I think of is, like, if a GTA came out and it was just a complete miss or something like that. There's not many things as big as those games going around, so I can't even imagine if that thing falls on its face. It wouldn't be good for Bethesda, we'll say that, because those games have long turnaround times and budgets.
Oh yeah, I mean the last Elder Scrolls game was 8 years ago, and we have no remote clue when the Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. Yeah,
and I'm assuming they probably take 4 to 5 years to make, an Elder Scrolls game.
The gap between the previous ones was a reliable sort of between 4 and 6 years.
So yeah, well, let's wrap this one up. Have you got any final thoughts, Count?
Final thoughts, I think Bethesda have not done a very good job at PR in the last couple of years, and while there's no particular signs of it dawning on them yet that they need to change things, I really hope that it does soon.
My final thought would be it should be pretty evident to them that they've made a few missteps, and hopefully they're wise enough to, I guess, monitor themselves a little bit more closely going forward in the future. Hopefully Doom Eternal gets through unscathed in terms of microtransactions. Hopefully Elder Scrolls continues on to be an awesome series. We'll find out in a couple of years, I'm sure. And yeah, I don't think there's been any permanent damage done as of yet. So let's cross our fingers for Bethesda, because them and their studios have made fantastic games for many years now. And hopefully they can continue to do that once they get over the speed hump. Hopefully it's only a speed hump.
Hopefully.
But let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Have we missed anything? Tell us your Bethesda saga. Have you had any dealings with them yourself? Let us know down below in the comments, or pop into our Discord. But as per usual, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you, should be next week. Hopefully, Count, maybe you can join me again for episode 56. Have a good one.
66.
66. There we go. Fallout 76. Lol. Bye.